Evening, folks. Welcome back to Andy Boy Comics and Toys. And now for something completely different. Yeah, now for something completely different. This was released in 1971, and of course it is Monty Python. The Monty Python troupe being Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, and Michael Palin. Now, I have on this channel before featured some movies featuring many of those actors, and in some cases there were movies that I actually thought were Monty Python movies, but turned out not to be. This is the first actual Monty Python movie that I'm reviewing on this channel, so this is a glorious occasion. Now, of course, in the late 60s, early 70s, Monty Python's Flying Circus was on TV, and this videocassette, theatrically released movie, rather, is a kind of a compilation of all their greatest sketches. Well, there's some that didn't make it on here that I think were worthy of that, but it is what it is. If you're familiar with Monty Python at all, of course you're going to recognize some of the names of these sketches, and some of the highlights on here include stuff like, of course, the Dead Parrot sketch, can't forget that one, How Not to Be Seen, game show Blackmail, of course, like the one about the funniest joke in the world, Hell's Grannies, the Lumberjack song, How to Defend Yourself While Being Attacked by a Person Wielding Fresh Fruit, and the Dirty Fork sketch. I could go on and on. I mean, it's an hour and a half of Monty Python stuff that you may or may not have seen on TV already. But I think this released, to a much wider audience than the television show, at least for its time. For many people, this might have been their first viewing of any kind of Monty Python, at least in North America. I don't know, I didn't do that much research into it, so shoot me. What I did not know was this was the first of the theatrically released Monty Python movies. The more narrative movies that Monty Python would go on to make would be like Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and of course The Meaning of Life, all of which I would love to get around to watching and reviewing here on the channel. Now, while I do enjoy this one a little bit more than, say, Life of Brian, which I think is kind of the least of the Python movies, it doesn't come anywhere near being as funny as Meaning of Life, or certainly not as funny as The Holy Grail. Everybody's great in all these sketches. This is Monty Python at the top of their game. John Cleese is hilarious as ever. He's just something about when that guy yells at you just makes me laugh like crazy. Michael Palin being the goofy, kind of timid one in most of these. Graham Chapman being just usually the outrageous one. Well, not always. Sometimes he's a more serious one.
You have beautiful thighs.
And he does get very serious here. Terry Jones. Love Terry Jones as well. He's just a goofball. And Eric Idle, the musical one. They all make me laugh. Terry Gilliam, and Terry Gilliam didn't really appear that much on the actual show. Of course, his animation did. Can't forget the wonderful animation sequences by Terry Gilliam. The one with the creepy guy pushing the baby carriage around, and the baby carriage is like eating people. Conrad poos in his dancing teeth. And the topper, probably my favorite segment in this entire tape, would be the killer cars. I mean, I love the killer cars. It's like 2 minutes long, but it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So yeah, and now for something completely different. At least considering what I've been watching lately, it was completely different. I'm going to have to go ahead and give Now for Something Completely Different a B+. This was all around a joy to watch. I mean, this is a nostalgic shot in the arm for me. I used to watch Monty Python like constantly as a kid. I always got it on PBS, Channel 3. God, I love PBS. Or at least I sure did back in the 70s and 80s. I would have given it an A, but however, I have seen this so many times, And I've seen the television show versions of these same sketches so many times. You know, it had been a while, so I still enjoyed it. But not quite A territory there. 1971's And Now for Something Completely Different gets a B+. So until next time, folks, stay safe and have a good one out there.